Hello, everybody, and welcome to our quality management webinar. It looks like we've got a pretty good crowd of you out there. My name is Max Ball. I am product marketing for all things contact center here at 8x8, and that includes our product, our quality management product. Joined today by Ryan Morrissey, the Senior Director in our product organization, and he's responsible for our quality management products. He was actually the CEO of the company we acquired as part of that. We will be walking you through. I'm going to do a very quick couple of slides to give you an overview of the product, and then Ryan will actually get in and give you a demo, which I think is really the most interesting thing that we're here to see. Hopefully, please let's make this as interactive as humanly possible, and what you will see is on your screen there is a place where you can post questions. Please vote early and vote often. Send us as many questions as you can. We want to make this as much of a dialogue as possible and as interactive. We'll probably hit a couple questions as we go, and we'll definitely at the end save some time to go through any and all questions that we have. So with that, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. What we're talking about here, quality management, really fits overall in the concept of workforce optimization. Within workforce optimization, you have scheduling, you have calls and recordings, and speech analytics. Phase one of our quality management, we will have screen recording and voice recordings, and a really powerful way to find specific calls that you want, along with a really nice dashboard to score and manage the calls, and then we will be adding the speech analytics over time. We'll talk about that in a little more detail as we go. So quickly, I'm going to go through some of the issues that lead people to use quality management, and I got a hunch every one of you out here knows those issues very, very well. Then we'll talk a little bit about the new quality management product that we have available. And as I said, Ryan will then get into the good stuff and actually show you the product itself. So as all of you know, I'm very sure, for a typical contact center, 75% of your costs are related to labor. I was at a contact center show about a year ago, and they had these little badges, you know, the little sticky things you put on that say, "Hi, my name is," only this one said, "Hi, my biggest problem is." And I literally went through, they'd stuck them all on a wall, and I went through, and 77% of them, according to my deep math, had to do with agent performance, agent costs, etc. So agent retention performance is that's why there's so many of you on this call. It's a big deal, and we know that, and we're really excited to be able to bring you this capability. Knowing who needs what sort of help, knowing how to coach people, how to have the tools to give them the feedback that they need, an objective understanding of agent performance. How do I know how people are doing? Do I see improvement over time? If I'm seeing improvement over time, is that matched with customer satisfaction improvement? How do I get the measurements, et cetera? That's really important. And the problem is, you know, many of you, I'm sure, are, as we like to say, spreadsheets and sticky notes, kind of living with not really the solution that you want, but the solution that you have, just because so many quality management, workforce optimization sorts of solutions are so expensive and so difficult to set up. So that's kind of the world we were looking at, some of the issues that we wanted to get at. What we're bringing to the table now is the ability to have consistent and measurable scoring, the ability to set up some baselines, see how your team's doing over time, understand how your different agents are doing, find the ones that need coaching, and be able to see where the issues are that they're facing. A number of ways. One of the things you'll see is this is very much a search-based metaphor for this product, and that's really powerful. That lets you go out and look for certain types of issues or certain groups or certain types of issues within certain groups so that you can really drill down on the calls that are important to you, find those and provide the feedback and be able to provide coaching that actually is going to make a lot of difference for your agents and really improve the training that you're providing. As far as the functionality of the product itself, the one screenshot I don't have here is really the core of the product. There's this really nice dashboard where I see the agent screen, I see the call recording, I have my score sheet there, and I ended up not putting it in the promotional materials. As a product marketing guy, you'd think that's the one screen I would do, but it was challenging because it's such a busy full screen, which is, as a reviewer, what you want, but as a marketing guy, it's a lot to absorb. So you're seeing more here. This is the actual tool where you build the questionnaire and you go ahead and assign the different values to the different questions and how those scores are done. And the good thing is here, you're going to get a lot of all the right screens because Ryan's going to walk everybody through the actual product. Quality management is very deeply and tightly integrated with the Virtual Contact Center, and that makes things like setup very easy to do. Maintenance happens very magically. You manage your agents on the VCC side, and quality management just knows about those changes. Everything is kept in very powerful sync. The tool you see there to build the agent review forms, you'll get a sense of that. It's very easy. Hardest part will be you understanding the questions you want to ask, and we have some people that can kind of help with best practices there. It's all cloud-based, same as everything else we provide, so your agents can be anywhere, your scores can be anywhere. And in terms of it being easy to set up and deploy, I think I kind of talked through that already. I mentioned this concept of searching. Because of that, I can set up, I can look for groups, I can look for customers that calls came from, I can look for regions, I can look for queues, etc. I can really take a combination of elements, put those together, and set up the set of calls I want to look at. Once I've defined that, I have the set of calls, I can then go ahead and drill down into, or I can go ahead and save that into a tab, and then that's always available to me. So I get to decide, as the call center manager, what set of calls I care about, and once I have that set of calls set up, I can go ahead and define that, and that's always just, boom, available to me for today or yesterday or last week or whatever time frame it is I want to look at. Because there is the same, because you build the questionnaire, you've got the same questionnaire, we have some ability to do calibration, so different scorers will end up with balanced scores. You're really able to see how your agents are doing, which agents or which groups of agents are performing the way that you'd like to see them perform, and then you also begin to see over time how performance is changing. And hopefully this, with better coaching and with better insight, performance is going to be moving up and to the right as things get better and stronger and your agents are better equipped to do what they need to do. So I promised I was going to keep my part pretty darn quick. So what we're able to do with this is I can identify the agents I want to work on. I can see how they're doing. I can look for the types of calls I'm concerned about with them. Then I have the dashboard and the reviewing tool. I can go in, I can look at a call, I can see where they're having problems. I have a whole series of tools I can, within the score sheet, make note of things. I have the ability to make notes, and I can have those notes actually generate emails to the agents who I want to see things. Ryan's going to show you that. Jump straight to the part where there's an issue. So if somebody's on the web and they're doing something the wrong way, very easy to tell them, hey, instead of going off that way, what if you went over here and looked at the web page that way? Very powerful capabilities along those lines. I can set up the calls I want to see, and I can access those very quickly. Lots of tools to make sure I'm getting all of my agents reviewed in a fair way. Storing all the storage is there that I need. And then again, I have some qualitative feedback that I can give people in the notes and within the score sheets. But what's really important is I've got very quantitative scoring that I can provide for the agents, so I can give them feedback on really how they're performing, how they stack up within the group, and just make it so the agents understand exactly where they're fitting and how they're doing. So, okay, there's lots of features in the product, so what? Why do I care? Some of the things that we found talking to our customers, one of the customers we've been working with on this, they did an interesting thing. They actually took recordings of good calls, and they made those available to new agents. So part of your training was to sit down in the tool and watch a recording of a good quality call where somebody did everything just right. And what they found was that boosted their training time, or reduced their training time, I guess I should say, by up to 20%. Agents were able to get online much more quickly because it was just, watching a good example is a really powerful. A picture tells 1,000 words, a recording tells a couple 100,000 words, I guess. So it was a very helpful thing. You are much better able to guide your agent's performance because you have the information that you need there. You've got the ability to measure performance. And what happens is, and this talks really about lowering the operational costs, and I would argue there's two sides to this coin. If your agents are more efficient, if your agents better know what they're doing, if they're better equipped to handle the calls that they get, calls are going to go quicker, costs are going to be reduced, because obviously if I can take 30 seconds out of every call across a couple hundred agents, oh my gosh, that's a whole lot of money. That's a significant savings. But the other thing that's important is when the agent knows what's expected of them, when the agent has the knowledge to know where to go to help customers out, and they're better able to help customers, they're giving customers a better experience. So not only are you improving the agent performance, improving their satisfaction, but that's then flipping over onto the customer side, and you're making available to them much better experience for the customers, builds loyalty. That's why we got into this in the first place, is to help customers. All right, I have one last slide, and then I'm going to hand it over to Ryan. The product is available, I guess, really now. Monday. The product is available Monday, worldwide. We are adding some capabilities to it over the next few months. Real-time monitoring. This is something where I can actually see my agents doing what they're doing on the screen and what they're doing on a call live as it happens. One of the betas that we worked with was using this, and they're actually a company that uses a lot of their call center for sales. And they found this was phenomenally valuable. What they were doing is they were actually listening in on the calls, seeing what the agent was doing, and if things started going south, they were able to jump in and save a sale before they lost the sale. So that was one of the more interesting and important capabilities to them. You'll be able to see the agent screens while they're on the calls and also between calls. So if you want to keep your agents from doing things they shouldn't be doing between calls, you have the ability to catch that. Speech analytics, Ryan, I believe, is going to show you some of the speech analytics today. As he does that, beware, that's not part of the release right now, but it's really powerful, really exciting, so we can't resist showing it a little bit and giving you a sense of it. There's still a lot of power in what we have today. The analytics will be available in the first half of next year, and then later in the year, next year, about a year from now or so, we will be bringing in some more real-time analytics to help you manage your contact center. So that's everything I've got as a lead-in. Ryan, I'm just going to hand it over to you now to show everybody the actual product itself.
Great. Okay, thanks everybody for joining. Of course, Max mentioned if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask them. I'd like to really point out that I'm going to show you guys a bit of a workflow. So I'm going to take a role as an agent, and I'm going to take a role as a supervisor, and I'm going to kind of show from end to end a transaction and how it works. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I have this set up on my MacBook so that I can take these different roles. In this case, just to save some time, I've preset myself up as an agent, and I've preset myself up as a supervisor. What I'd like to do at this moment is I'd like to just make an example call. Of course, cloud-based solution, you can really work. This really works anywhere. As Max mentioned, we had several betas, and a lot of those customers had agents everywhere and auditors everywhere, and it's truly a global solution. And I'm going to demonstrate that capability right now. So, Max, I'm going to go ahead and place a phone call to you. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind stepping out of the room so we don't get echo.
You're kicking me out.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and dial that call. And I'm going to play the role of an agent. And I will put it on speaker.
Hi, this is Max.
Oh, hey, Max. It's Ryan calling from 8x8. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. Oh, thank you for calling me back. I had some questions about increasing the capacity of my system. Things are going well, and we're expanding, and I wanted to add another 100 seats of ECC.
Sure, it's no problem, Max. I can go ahead and take care of that right now through our demo ordering portal. And to keep the time for the webinar short, I'm going to go ahead and put you on hold for one moment while I do that, and then we'll return. Okay?
Okay, that sounds fine.
1 second, Max. Okay, so now I have Max on hold. I'm assisting Max in adding 100 agents. Just to give you guys an example of how the screen recording works, I'm just making some easy moves on our website. Now I'm going to return to Max, and we'll wrap up the call. Hey, Max, I'm back.
Great.
Okay, so you're all set. Your account has had those changes implemented, and we're good to go.
Okay, great. Well, I'll get those. I guess I better hire some agents then.
I guess so, yeah. Thank you, Max.
All right, thanks.
Okay, bye now.
Bye.
Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and end my post-processing, and basically now I'm going to show you what it looks like from a supervisor perspective. So essentially what I've done is I've taken an outbound call. I've put the call on hold. I've used my workstation to do some browsing, ended the call, and now I'm going to switch over to a role as a supervisor to see what happened with that call. So I have this handy-dandy window already set up in the essence of time. I'm going to go ahead and refresh the window to find the new call that was just generated by me. Now you'll find that I have my name is here, the caller ID that I've called Max on. I placed 4 calls earlier today to show what it looks like as a filter for an agent. I was on the call with Max for 1 minute and 40 seconds, and I had him on hold for 18 seconds. I have a lot of other metrics that I can measure and search against to really narrow down my results. So with a contact center with a few agents to several hundred or thousand agents, I've got the capability now to really drill in based on any different types of metrics. It might be the queue that they've dialed in on. It might be the amount of time that they were on the phone, the amount of time that they were on hold. And there's a bunch of different other things that the tool does that will just simply take me too long to explain. So what I want to show you guys next is what does this look like from a supervisor perspective? What is my view and what do I see? Max did mention that there is a dashboard view that sort of shows all these things, and that's what I'm showing you now. So let's go ahead and play the call and have a listen. The role of an agent. Now I'm going to zoom in on the screen so I can see it a bit better.
Hi, this is Max.
Oh, hey, Max. It's Ryan calling from 8x8. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. Oh, thank you for calling me back. I had some questions about increasing the capacity of my system.
Now, as you can see,
and we're expanding, and I wanted to add.
And I will pause this to make comment. As you can see, I've got the capability to now see the screen of the agent. I have the capability to see the waveform, the speech in a graphical way. The channels are separated, so I have myself and I have the customer in two separate channels. And again, the disclaimer that Max gave you is this speech transcription is not available on Monday. We're simply showing this because it is very powerful, and it's something that we're pretty proud of and have been working on for quite some time, and will be available in the first half of next year, along with a lot of other features that help harness the power. So let's continue, and as a supervisor, I'm going to begin to score this call.
100 seats of ECC.
Sure, it's no problem, Max. I can go ahead and take care of that right now through our demo ordering portal. And to keep the time for the webinar short, I'm going to go ahead and put you on hold for one moment while I do that, and then we'll return, okay?
Okay, that sounds fine.
Okay, just 1 second, Max. Okay, so now I have Max on hold. Interestingly enough, you can still hear me speaking as the agent. To give you guys an example of how the screen recording works, I'm just making some easy. So I wanted to show the portion of the call which indicates that he was on hold. I also support PCI compliance here. I can pause the call, I can resume the call, and I could also pause the screen and mute the voice as well for that. Now, while I'm scoring this call, the agent here, who is myself, I'm going to give myself kudos.
You did do an awesome job.
Right, that's right. So I'm going to give myself some kudos, and I'm going to actually mention the agent within the call. So what I'm doing now, folks, is I'm actually listening to the call, watching the screen and everything that the agent did, while I'm scoring it, making notes on how well the agent performed. I've got the capability to go ahead and pre-select all of the questions that I might want to answer while I'm doing this manual QA process, and then only fill in the ones that apply. You'll also notice that it does keep track of how long it takes me to do the evaluation, and one of my favorite and most really cool features is that I have the capability of mentioning the agent. So what this means is I can mention anyone within the call, meaning I can put a person's name in by using the @ symbol, select their name, and then write a quick message to that person. So we will go ahead and just give a quick example of this. I'm going to go ahead and make a note, and then I'm going to go ahead and save this evaluation so that I can review it later. And I also now can see within the notes that I've mentioned the agent. And I just received an email as an agent. So I'm going to go ahead, take a look at my email. I believe it's here. Oh, here it is. Great. So I was mentioned. It said, "Hello, Ryan. This was a great call." Now, as the agent, I've got the capability to go and view that call. It will drive me right to the portion within the call and the QA template where the supervisor had mentioned. I also have the capability of annotating that call, so I could be somewhere in the middle of the call. I could click here, and I can make another note and say, at Ryan Morrissey, great job here inside the call, and I can actually make a note right on a point in time in that call, and that will also get emailed to the person that I mentioned. Now, I don't have to just mention the agent. I can mention anyone. I can mention another supervisor, of course, mention the agent, but this is a great way to collaborate between an agent and supervisor. And of course, when I'm done and all this is completed, you can see I received yet another email, which will then drive me right to the point within that call. Again, folks, I'm kind of switching roles here quickly in the essence of time, but within a moment, it will load the screen and it will drive me right to the portion inside the call where I was mentioned. And as an agent, I can easily communicate, as a supervisor rather, I can easily communicate with the agent, drive them right to somewhere in a call and say, "Hey, check this out, this was a great job," or, "Hey, you should have done something different in this case." Now,
I could also use that if I had a new agent and I had a really good call. I could send that to the new agent and say, "Hey, I noticed you were struggling with this. Here's how this guy did it. He did it really well."
Absolutely. And that's all that's controllable through rights, so you can manage the way that you want those permissions to go. That's quite important. There's an incredible amount of security built into this tool. Obviously, there's sensitive information in some of these calls, so yes, you can control who is allowed to do that, and the system is pretty flexible in that method. So once I'm said and done with this, as the supervisor, of course, I have a couple other really cool things that I can do. As the agent, I can actually score the call now myself, and I could do something which is called calibration. I can compare the result between my supervisor and myself, and then sit down with the supervisor and say, hey, here's where I thought I did, something different than what you thought. Not only that, I can drag and drop a file onto this evaluation form and upload a file, so I can attach a file to the evaluation, PDFs, any file that I want, web links to some learning management. I can embed all that within the evaluation. So if you take a look at the one that I've just completed now, when you click on the link, you'll see the evaluation, you'll see where there's marks that I've missed. You also have the capability to see the notes that were left on the call, and had I attached a file, I would also have this available. So I can easily, by using mentions, I can easily share this with my agent. The agent can review it, they could score it themselves, and we continue to improve the process within the contact center. Obviously, we can then take all that information and aggregate it up using a whole slew of reports that we offer. I have an example of those reports that I can show you guys, and for some reason I closed that window by accident. I apologize. Just trying to do this in the essence of time. So I have the capability to see some of these scores that were done, and then of course I could click on my reports button, and I have a whole selection of reports that I can choose from to aggregate that data. So I can begin to do things like measuring how consistent agents are. For an example of consistency, maybe today it was yes, tomorrow it's no, next day it's yes, no. Now they're 50% consistent. I could send them to training, use the tool to help and coach them through that training, and then measure the increase of that consistency to make sure that they're not telling the customer one thing today and something else tomorrow, that they maintain a consistent representation for the company. And again, there's I can go on and on for more than an hour and a half on all the different combinations that we can do with the reports. What I would like to show you from a search perspective is the application is very easy to go back and find these calls. For example, my calls are here that I've scored today. I can see the ones just for me. I can go back and I can see all calls for the day. I can go back and see calls which were only for myself, for Ryan, for specific days. I can create new queries where I can go in and see the calls. I can sort, filter by any means possible. One feature that I really do like is the capability to expand this, see the notes that I've made, see the evaluations that I made, clicking on them and then drilling right into the information. So we've tried to make it as easy as possible for folks to be able to get to the information that they want quickly, because in the grand scheme of things, there is an incredible amount of information available within this application. So the idea is being able to build filters, being able to get down to things quickly and easily. Not only that, but from an agent's perspective, we also present them with a dashboard which will show how well they're performing. It will show the evaluations that were completed for them. It will show them the mentions that they've done. And of course, you can click on each one of those separate individual items to drive back to that data.
There's a couple of questions that come in.
Yeah, of course. I actually can't see those, Max, so thank you for moderating.
Okay, yeah. One is, can you track consistency for the entire team?
Absolutely. You can track consistency at multiple levels. You can track consistency per agent, per group, per supervisor, per trainer, because we have a concept of a trainer. We could assign people to a trainer. You could track per QA template, because of course you can create multiple QA templates within the application. So yes, there's about 6 or 7 different high-level metrics that we can track them on.
Another question was, can the agent mention back to the supervisor when there's...
Absolutely. It's a two-way communication process, and as we continue to improve with this product, Max, you're going to find that there's going to be some really cool innovations. I just saw the design for the speech piece, and there's some things there that even incorporate that. So at this moment, yeah, we could communicate back and forth to the two. Yep.
A couple questions on storage. Do we want to look at that right now?
Sure.
One is, can I have voice storage for one period of time and screen storage for another?
Yeah, we actually encourage that, right? And you could do a couple different things. For the most part, most people don't like to keep the screens for more than a month or even longer. I mean, all that's definable, right? You can keep them for as long as you want. But most people will keep them at an average for a month, and then the voice based on whatever the business requirement is. Some people have to keep them for 7 years based on, specific regulations. You could also dial in how many screens you want to do. So I can fully control, because we're a cloud solution, I can fully control the number of screens that I'm capturing. I could say, you know what, for this group of agents, only do 50% of them. For this group, for new hires, do all their screens. So I have complete flexibility on how I manage the storage and retention, as well as how many screens I'm actually collecting.
Okay, good. And then another question that came in was, once the call is scored, how long do you store the recordings for a scored call?
Well, that's one of the great things that I love about this app, is that if you score the call, I'll keep your media forever. So that way, the problem is you don't want to go back 3 months and have a great example, and then your screen recording and your voice recordings are gone, and you get a message, oh, no, that's past your retention policy. No, we will keep it. We will keep it for the long run so that you can make examples. And one of the ways that we help with that, Max, is you can go in and check the ones which were scored. You also have the capability to put labels on calls so that you can go back later. So you can label them and then build individual queries for labels like great calls. That way you can share that, and people could drill right into all the calls that are great calls.
Good. Wow, thank you guys. We're getting a lot of questions. This is good. There was another, for agents who are using more than one monitor, can I see?
No problem. It's automatic. It's automatic. Yeah, it's a good question. What we do to handle this capability, and I'll quickly show it to you. I just need to pull up a tab for my own recordings. Is we do have this pan and zoom capability, and again, this is fully adjustable. If there's any techies on the phone, we could control all the parameters around how we capture that screen, the resolution and whatnot, to really make it so that it fits within this window. Because remember, when you're doing scoring, you might want to see 3 screens, but you might only have 1 or 2 as an auditor. So we could fully adjust all that, Matt.
Okay, great. How do I manage screen and voice recordings that have gone beyond the storage limits?
Well, beyond the storage limits, I believe VCC has a 10, 40, 400-day retention policy, and those are 3 different price points that you could be in. We're married directly to that. So we're completely married to that methodology. The screen recording is separate, and you can either do 10 or 40 days, or you could do an archive period, which you define yourself as how long you want to keep them for.
Great. Yeah, looks like that's it.
Are we looking at providing for a virtual office? Absolutely. It's probably about a year out, but yeah, we're looking to provide it across all of our products.
There's one I really want to ask you here. Speech analytics.
Will speech analytics allow for search on keywords across multiple recordings? Oh, absolutely. What we're going to be doing in the beginning half of next year when we release the speech analytics piece, you guys have seen the power of the speech to text. It's interesting, and I like to point out that it's not perfect, right? It's not. It was never meant to be perfect, and in fact, it's about 85 to 90% accurate in what it can gather from which is incredible. In fact, it is essentially one of the best. And doing this for 20 years, it is the best that I've seen to date from a transcription point of view. So what we're doing is we're going to be taking that and we're going to be able to match that to different topics and different keywords. So I could say, give me all the sales calls that revolve around retention, right? So we'll be doing intelligent matching, and the customer can configure all that themselves. That's slated for the first half of next year. Coaching acknowledgement. Is there a coaching acknowledgement where an agent can acknowledge that they actually received coaching? At the moment, no, there is not, but it is a roadmap item, and we plan to implement it within the next 6 months. We're going to be doing some more work around the whole coaching process and improving some of the things, and that's one of the nice things about us as a cloud provider. We're going to continue to push innovation through the cloud, and you'll automatically get these features.
Great. Okay, I think we've got the questions for the moment. With multiple recordings. Yeah, we talked about that. Great. So why don't you hop back into showing some more of the product, and we'll see if we get some more questions come in as we go here.
Excellent. So how are we on time?
10 minutes.
Okay, fantastic, great. So what I'd like to show you guys next is a little bit on how we actually do create those forms, right? So how do we create the forms? Max has shown a bit there. You know what, I'm going to zoom this a little bit so that I can give a little bit more visibility to you guys. So we do have a QA template editor in order to create these forms. There's all kinds of different things that you can do in regards to creating these forms. So we support questions such as yes or no. You can build your own, so you can build single answer questions. You know, you can make your own individual answers. We support multi-choice so that you can do multiple choice questions. And of course, you can enable the points to be really anything that you want. We've built a lot of features and functionality within this part of the application. We spent quite a lot of time on it. So we do have the concept of consistency, where we can measure either at the question level or at the template level how consistent the agent is in their responses. And obviously, we will use that to help coach them in the future and move them forward in their in their progress to become the best agent within the company. So again, really using this template to make good examples or highlight bad examples, very, very easy to track within the reporting. Some of the other features within the template, you have the capability to add in individual default questions so that if you think that most of the time people will answer yes or no to a specific question, it makes it easy for you to implement a quick way for auditors to go in and score. We have the capability to nest questions, so you can draw questions on responses from other questions. So a yes response on this one question will spawn a whole new set of questions, and that's one thing that you can do. We even give you this little helpful pointing tooltip where as you build the form, it gives you some dynamic results to show you how the points stack up, how the percentages stack up. And again, I like to show this because it just shows you that it's got a real breadth of capability within the QA form itself. So you don't just have yes or no questions. It's yes, no, single answer, multi-choice, or even a range. So you can do a range. It supports things like auto-fail. You can auto-fail questions based on individual responses. You can allow overall comments or do comments per question. And of course, there's really cool reports that go through and outlay all this stuff in the way that you really want to see it from a contact center perspective. You could drill down to a single report that you could sit with a single person. It'll have all the comments that were made, the score that was there, every point where they needed help, and it will summarize that for the entire month so you can sit down with them and have 5 or 6 evaluations throughout the whole month and see all the comments that were made and everything that was done in regards to that. So the reports really make it simple to cover what you've done at an aggregated perspective within the template editor. Do we want to cover a couple more questions that have come through? Since
why don't we do
several that have come in,
Yeah. So what's the best way to use working offline status in the reports? You want to get away from agents who are hiding and love to be able to...
use working offline status in the reports. Yeah, I understand what you're trying to get away from. We don't have the real-time state within here because this tool focuses really on what they're doing while they're working, not while they're hiding. So one of the things that you can do, which is really interesting, which will be coming out in January, is the capability to go and live monitor that agent's screen. So you'll have the capability to see the agent while they're in that working status. And even if they're not on the phone, of course, all that's optional, right? So you could configure that so you either see them when they're on a call or not on a call, or you only see them when they're on a call, or only see them when they're on calls over 10 minutes. It's completely flexible. There's all kinds of rule sets that you can build around how you could live monitor agents. So I think that might help solve your problem, would be able to live monitor them during any state.
Another interesting one. can I follow a call? So if an agent receives an inbound call and has to go outbound to get a consultation to another agent, or I assume if they're transferring it, can I link multiple calls together?
Yeah, it's a feature that's coming out in the early part of next year. You might see it here. There's a transfer to and transfer from option that we have. With some of the newer versions of ECC coming out, we will have the capability to follow the call, and we will enable that in time. So I can expect to see something like that within the next 6 to 9 months within the tool.
Yeah, we're actually, just a little quick aside, we're going to be doing some, what we call customer journey reporting. We'll see, and in some really interesting detail, what happened to a customer across transfers, et cetera.
Exactly.
And we're doing a similar webinar to talk you all through that as well.
Yeah, and we will eventually latch onto that, Max.
Okay, great. All right.
Okay, good. Great. So what I'm going to show you guys next, if we don't have any more questions, I'm going to go ahead and show you a little bit about the filtering. I showed you a bit about how to create a form, but I want to show you a bit about the filtering. I do have, again, incredible amount of power here. I have all different kinds of columns that I can select. I can sort by agent ID, by the size of the audio, by the direction of the call, GUID. For most of you, you're interested in VCC transaction ID. I can, of course, search by transaction ID. Any transaction codes that you might have, meaning any post-processing codes that you might have put in, I could search by those post-processing codes. Different queue names, I could search and sort by queue names. And I also have the capability to get even more advanced. So I have 2 types of filtering to find what you're looking for. I have a basic filtering, which allows you to add in these individual filters. And then I also do have something for power users, which we call advanced search. Now, advanced search gives us the capability to do things like give me all the calls where the hold time exceeds a certain amount, where the duration of the call was less than a certain amount, and it was Tuesday of last month, and the agent was in a particular group and has a particular supervisor. So I can get very granular on everything that I'm looking to find within the tool, either using advanced search for things that are, I would call elastic, like durations and things of that nature. I can use the advanced search, or I can use just a basic search, which gives me the capability to really just drill in quickly. And then I save these searches and present them as tabs. So every day I come in, I could set up tabs for certain groups, tabs for certain supervisors, tabs for certain agents, tabs for any of the criteria that I've come up with before. And when I log in the next day, if I had created a tab, show me all the calls for today that exceed a certain amount of time, I can go in and I will see those calls for those days. We even have a random feature, which I really like, which will generate random results of calls so that you're actually scoring calls without being judgmental on what you're looking for. What I like to do is say, give me all the calls between 6 and 9 minutes, and I want to return 1% of those results for this month. And then I go and I score those calls, and if I want to run a different campaign where I'm measuring people in the way that they're handling calls, holding, and things of that nature, I can then configure those filters as well.
Cool. We're just about up to about 2-minute warning here if you've got one last quick thing.
I do, in fact. So if you're ever in this tool, yes, I realize there's a lot of capability. It's a very flexible tool. It has a lot of features, and we'll continue to add features. So if you're ever stuck when using this tool, you have the capability to click on the support link, and we do have a real handy-dandy self-guided help system anywhere within the application that gives you the capability to look and see what each function does. And if you need more information, you can click on Go to Knowledge Base. It will drive you right to the section within our knowledge base that explains this. And as we continue to move forward, we'll be inserting videos, screenshots, and things of this nature to help. But the documentation is quite comprehensive at this point, and the help guide is a really easy system to help drive you through the application in somewhere that you might be wondering what specific features are. So I think it's a great opportunity to wrap up then, Max. Remember, you can export all this information to CSV, both the evaluations, anything on the reports, any of the call records. All this stuff is exportable so that you guys can play with it in Excel if you want to add in certain metrics as well.
Great. Thanks, Ryan. I think all you guys can hear, once you get Ryan going, and the passion comes out, and you get very excited about this product, and I'm really excited to be working with it. It's fun, and it's also, you would be very impressed with how quickly the product has grown over the last 6 months or so, and will continue to do so. We've got a very robust roadmap for this going forward. So I want to thank you all for your time. The slides are available in PDF form in the attachments here within the webinar tool itself. Again, thank you very much for your time and your interest, and we appreciate the attendance. Looks like we had very good, and also had a whole lot of questions. That just makes the whole process a whole lot more interesting and engaging when that happens. So thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.